Hey everyone, I'm Tassenix, and welcome to another mod guide highlighting Paz Vizsla. About a week or so ago, I released the video on BKM, and then I wanted to finish out through the rest of the upcoming farmable releases, and that brought me all the way through the Gungans. So I heard you guys' feedback. A lot of you wanted to go back and finish up this Mandalorian team, so here we are with Paz. As always, I want to start with the leadership that this character is going to operate under, so we'll just cover BKM's lead real quick. Light side Mandalorian allies gain 40% defense, max health. Ooh, crap, let me turn on the music here for us. Light side Mandalorians gain 40% defense, max health, and offense. Light side Mandalorians gain 5% defense, stacking, maximum of 30%, for each debuff on them. Whenever a light side Mandalorian ally deals true damage, Paz Vizsla and BKM do this, or they dispel a debuff or resist a debuff, all light side Mandalorians gain a stack of Ancestral Resolve, maximum 100 stacks, until the end of the encounter, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. Whenever an ally attacks an enemy inflicted with Armor Shred, all light side Mandalorian tank allies taunt for 1 turn. So that would go to Paz Vizsla, and as we'll see with Paz, he has a unique way of dealing with taunt. Additionally, in Grand Arenas, light side Mandalorian allies gain 50% mastery, max health, and speed. 30 speed. At the start of each encounter, light side Mandalorian tank allies taunt for 2 turns. If there are other active enemies excluding summons, the first light side Mandalorian ally that is defeated each battle is revived and recovers 50% health and protection. So if they happen to go after a squishy and blow them up first, or whoever they blow up first, as long as it isn't a permakill, the first light side Mandalorian ally who dies will come back, and that could be our tank, right? So that's nice. All light side Mandalorian allies gain 1 additional stack of Ancestral Resolve whenever light side Mandalorian ally deals true damage, dispels a debuff, or resists a debuff. So this is an incredibly powerful leadership. We're getting health out the wazoo, offense, bonuses to true damage, taunt out to our tank, speed. Yeah, this is an incredible set of stuff for Paz Vizsla. So, let's get right into his kit. We'll want to cover his unique immediately, because that really defines his kit, and it's pretty crazy. Alright, at the start of battle, Paz gains 10% defense and max health for each other Mandalorian ally, so that's whether they're dark or light, and then an additional 15% defense and max health for each other light side Mandalorian ally. So again, under BKM's lead, you're really gaining the most from having all light side Mandalorian allies, but if you're of a mind to use Paz Vizsla elsewhere, he works with other Mandalorians. Alright, whenever Paz Vizsla gains taunt, so remember, we had 2 ways of getting taunt from BKM's leadership. He will dispel it and then gain 2 stacks of resilient defense, just like Mace Windu. Maximum of 10 stacks until the end of the encounter. Paz has plus 10% crit avoidance and defense for each stack of resilient defense he has. So he just gets beefier and beefier. At the start of each encounter, if the ally in the leader slot is a light side Mandalorian, Paz gains Frenzy for 2 turns, so that's the buff that says whenever an ally uses a special, the person who has Frenzy gains 100% turn meter, so that can have him just cycling turns. So he gains the Frenzy for 2 turns and 2 stacks of Resilient Defense, maximum of 10 until the end of the encounter. Alright, we're going to get into his main mechanic here. So he has a base state. Then he starts gaining heat. When he maxes out on heat, he's going to convert it to overheat. Let's see how that works. Whenever Paz loses a stack of resilient defense, he gains 1 stack of heat. Maximum of 10 until the end of battle. Can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. At 10 stacks, abilities and effects that generate heat instead generate overheat, stacking maximum of 20 stacks. So it takes you twice as long to get up to the max of overheat as it did to get to heat until the end of the battle. Can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. Whenever he gains overheat, so this is, I wonder if it's per stack or if it's just the state change of going from heat to overheat. But whenever he gains overheat, he gains 10% turn meter. So I'm pretty sure it's per stack of overheat, yeah. Whenever he's inflicted with a debuff that can be dispelled, he gains 5% turn meter. So you can debuff the crap out of him, but if it isn't shock or daze that you're putting down on him among the debuffs, he's gonna just be gaining a ton of turn meter, right? Okay, now the first time Paz reaches 1% health, he dispels all debuffs on himself, recovers 100% health, gains damage immunity for 1 turn, takes a bonus turn, and then is defeated. And other light side Mandalorian allies, and all other light side Mandalorian allies, recover 100% protection. During this bonus turn, his cooldowns are reset. He has plus 100% offense, and his heat and overheat stacks are set to max. So, heat and overheat are unique buffs to Paz Vizsla. Let's read what they do. Heat says you get plus 10% potency per stack, and abilities gain additional effects based on the number of stacks. Okay. Overheat. Plus 10% offense and minus 5% tenacity per stack. Abilities gain additional effects based on the number of stacks. And then he has a territory battle Omicron, but we're not going to talk about that. It's not really worth covering. Okay, so he's got that, if you saw him in the show and how he went out in the show, he makes his last stand there where even if you take him down, he gets one last chance to fight back with double damage, all of his cooldowns available, and if you had him on defense, he's going to use this Vengeful Incineration, which we'll cover in a moment. But yeah, the point is that he's a tank that gains a lot of turn meter, has a ton of health, and makes good use of offense, and we'll see exactly why. His basic, Stalwart Barrage. Deal physical damage 3 times to target enemy. Gain 3 stacks of heat, maximum of 10, or overheat, maximum of 20, until the end of battle, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. If he has 5 plus stacks of heat, he gains 1 stack of resilient defense until the end of the encounter. And then if he has at least 1 stack of overheat, deal an additional instance of true damage to target enemy, which can't be evaded. Isn't that nice? That's rare. All right, so that basic is cracked, and we'll see. Yeah, I'll save it for a moment, but we'll see in the next ability. All right, his first special, Ancestral Broadside. Deal physical damage to all enemies and inflict breach and critical damage down for 2 turns. Gain 5 stacks of heat, maximum of 10, or overheat, maximum of 20, until the end of the battle, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. Gain 1 stack of resilient defense, max 10, until the end of the encounter. Mandalorian allies recover protection equal to 10% of Paz Vizsla's max protection. So, there's a lot of synergy for max health in here, but if you had a decent amount of protection, built into him, it isn't entirely to waste for that ability. From helping out the team point of view. All right, his second special, where the real fun is, Vengeful Incineration. Deal physical damage to all enemies and inflict burning for 2 turns. Inflict expose and stagger on target enemy for 1 turn. Paz gains protection up 50% and retribution for 2 turns. This ability deals 30% more damage for each stack of overheat Paz has. Remove all stacks of overheat. So remember, overheat is giving us plus 10% offense per stack. You can get up to 20 stacks, 200% offense. This does more damage based on the stacks that he has. And then remember, when he's doing his final stand, he has max stats, stacks of overheat. So this just slaps. Importantly, though, when he's using it not for his final stand, he is gaining Prod Up, which is based on max health, so strong synergy there, and Retribution. And the Retribution is so important because of the backslap that's going to happen from his basic, Stalwart Barrage. Do not underestimate the true damage that goes into this. It's a pretty nasty bit of business. All right. Next, I wanted to cover, because you guys really appreciate this, is details about the turn order and the team comps. So I've set up these squads here in order of turn order, okay? Your leadership in all of these cases is going to be BKM, of course, but I wanted to cover a few things. I also covered this in some detail on the BKM video, so you could check that as well. I'll link that here so that you have the leader video with this character. But anyways, the core of your team is going to be BKM, Paz, Grogu, whether that's for 3 versus 3 or 5 versus 5. Now, we can negotiate about the last 2. In my opinion, the core four in 5 versus 5 is BKM, Paz, Grogu, and OG Bo-Katan, because her unique says whenever a Mandalorian ally attacks out of turn, all Mandalorian allies recover 8% health and protection. So just as a very effective 4-man team, this will end you with top banners, right? Just completely full banners. Now, let's talk about a couple different compositions of 5s real quick. You can have armor in here, and armor would be the fastest of these characters. Like this turn order is going to be armor over Grogu, over BKM, over Bo, over Paz. All right. Because if you're using armor in here, she's going to be like kickstarting your team and doing a mass assist, applying an armor shred, starting to get the benefits rolling for Paz Vizsla hitting somebody that has armor shred, right? Now, you might want armor to go with Slacker or C or something else, so you don't have to do this. You could have BAM in this team to take advantage of BKM's first special Omicron. I did cover in detail how that works, but there's a synergy there where if you have BAM set up to be faster than BKM, he'll enter discipline setup, she does a mass assist, sets off his birds immediately. So in this case, you're going to have Grogu over BAM, over BKM, over... I mean, it doesn't really matter, Bo-Katan or Paz. I would say probably Bo-Katan greater than Paz, because Paz doesn't need a ton of speed, and ideally, considering he's putting down debuffs, Bo-Katan does a dispel with her special. So it'd be great if she used that just ahead of him. So I would reverse these two. And then another composition, of course, Grogu's going to be fast here, over BKM, over Bo-Katan for the special dispel, then Sabine for debuffs, and then Paz to capitalize off the stagger from Sabine. So if you don't want to use BAM or armor with your Mandalorian team, this is a great option for you. It might be a little less challenging than some compositions, but you can't beat it for value, and if you have these guys set up in the right turn order, they can still be pretty effective. Again, yeah, just for 3s, you're going to want Grogu faster than BKM, faster than Paz, right? Okay, so let's get right into the characters modding. I wanted to cover a couple folks here. So there's a few themes you're going to notice as we go through this. I'm going to show you a few characters, or a few players set up. This is Aesop Rocks. He has something that's very unique. He went with offense and a 2-piece of health. All right. A lot of us are doing health, defense, something like that, full health maybe. But he went all health primaries in an offense and health set. So what kind of numbers does that yield? Well, he's about 270 speed. I would say anywhere 260 plus is a perfectly fine place for him to be, because you saw how much turn meter gain there is baked into that unique. So he doesn't need to be crazy fast. He's going to be doing enough. You'll see that he went for about 150,000 health here, a little over 100,000 protection, some potency, about 80%. That's okay, but he's just about 8,000 physical offense, right? So he could have up to 200% of that from overheat stacks, and then that itself is doubled on that last stand turn. So this is what he's thinking about, is the maximization of the true damage from the basic, and then just that anytime he's doing anything, he's going to slap hard, but especially that final stand. So I thought this was really unique. He's got about 70% armor, which is decent. I would say that's kind of like a foundational level of armor for a tank. What kind of tank has under 70% armor, you know? All right, I wanted to show you Zid's here. His is very similar to mine, but he also decided to skew towards more offense, and I thought this was interesting. So he's got some added protection. He split off and had this one protection primary here, but he went offense and offense here with a health on the circle. Over 260 speed, a little bit of potency, that's fine, but 128,000 health, and then 136,000 protection. My guess is, if he could have had this either health or offense, he probably would have taken that. Because look where he ends up. Physical offense, 76, almost 7,700 physical offense. 73% armor. That's very durable. So you see the kind of theme we're going here? It's kind of health over... Well, in some cases, like Aesop went offense over health over speed. And Zid went kind of, I guess, similar, yeah. Let me show you mine now. All right, so I went health and defense sets, similar to Zid. All health primaries, 163,000 health, 105,000 prot, 270 speed. Again, that you don't need to be that fast. 260 plus is fine. If you have to be a little slower and you're hitting some really impressive secondaries otherwise, in terms of offense and health, I think you could live with it. Try and upgrade those mods and get up there. See that I have a significant amount of potency built in. 24% gets us up over 100%. Now, heat causes us to gain potency, all right? But when that heat gets converted to overheat, you don't gain heat anymore. You gain overheat instead of heat, all right? So you don't get the stacking potency from overheat. So you still want to have a decent amount of base potency to ensure that your debuffs land, because your kit is just rife with them, right? You've got them on every ability. So it is important, I think, to have some baked in. That's kind of a personal key metric. So 160 plus thousand health is huge. 100,000 prot is nice. Being 100,000 plus means that this middle ability restores a good chunk of prot. Over 100% potency, 7,200 physical offense. So I would say like the kind of floor maybe to shoot for on him is somewhere around, 7k at like Relic 8, something like that. I mean, if you can get him up to Relic 9, so much the better, and you can see that with a more offensive orientation, you can push up close to 8,000. So I don't have the very highest offense. And maybe long term, as I pick up better mods for this purpose, I might substitute them in and try and push that up. But this is fine. This is great, because he's going to gain a ton of offense anyway. He has over 72% armor. That's a nice one to be on. This is a really good balance, I feel. But you can kind of get the sense here that you're going for a really complicated mix. Probably health over offense, over speed, over defense. Something like that. Yeah, I think that about covers it, kit-wise. All right, applications. Yeah, you guys liked this one last time. Let me pull that up. I had one for 3s and 5s. I covered this in some more detail on the BKM video, but just as a brief recap, things that like to do debuffs, BKM and all of her friends love that. Please debuff them. They just eat that up. Let's have more of that, please. Now, this was based on last season, so this is with the BKM Cron. She had a bonus turn and basically could start deleting people off rip. These results may not be universal going forward as the Datacron sets roll by, but yeah. DTMG, Lord Vader, Reva, these were all victims to this team. So when you're thinking about how to apply it offensively, you got to think about where you can take advantage of her eating up debuffs. Now, this is an interesting one, fighting JMK. So basically, the only time this can really be terrible is if there's some type of Galactic Republic permakill, because we talked about BKM's leadership reviving the first light side Mandalorian ally that dies. So if you're fighting JMK and then Cat just smites Paz comes right back, you can kind of stabilize and just roll through the team from there. So this can fight JMK, just have to watch out for permakill meta. Slacker, I don't doubt that this has been really effective with that the BKM Cron, but now Slacker has first orders in season Datacron wise. So I don't know, man. I don't know if you want to risk it, but you get the kind of idea here. Anytime that you're fighting a team that just loves to do debuffs, she's all about that. And for more detail about the kind of matchups that she's really primed for, again, see her video. As far as 3 versus 3 goes, pretty much the same script, right? Just debuff heavy teams. This was a great one, and I still think this works against Saw. Obviously, with the Chirrut Cron expired, this team is significantly weakened. But if you still fight Saw Omicrons and you struggle, I'm sure this rolls right through. A ton of lesser teams like this Rex Crex, no doubt you would crush. Yeah, this is a really nasty team. Now, note that there's a number of people doing undersized wins, so you don't have to always run the core 3, in 3 versus 3. Bear in mind, this is kind of tied to that Datacron with the bonus turn, so you won't always be able to do this depending on the meta, but it's such a powerful offensive powerhouse team that this kind of thing is possible. All right, guys, I've had a great time making this video. I'm gonna, keep on trucking with these. It was a pretty complicated kit here on Paz, but thank you all for sticking with it. Appreciate all the great feedback and comments. I'm gonna keep them coming. Until next time, it's been real, it's been awesome, it's been real awesome. Take care.